welcome back to Chapter 6. In this unit of study in our web class, you will be working on the Module 2 writing assignments, which include doing a survey and which also include writing your philosophy statement. In the philosophy statement, you'll be including a lot of information about how you plan to successfully build those partnership foundations and giving very specific details about how you plan to invite families to be a part of what you're doing. In the writing assignment with the survey, you want to create a survey tool that's going to get a lot of information. You want to ask the right questions, and certainly in the details of the assignment, you'll see that there are specific questions you need to ask. Be sure that you write those in such a way that parents and loved ones will want to respond and want to understand that we're developing this foundation for successful partnership. Now in this chapter, we're going to look at some of those foundational questions. I want you to think about how your own personal teacher attitude or behavior could help with forming families. Certainly if you're the jovial, happy sort, you give the warm fuzzies, certainly that kind of teacher attitude and that teacher behavior is very conducive for building effective partnerships with families. If you're the kind of teacher who is more shy and a little more standoffish, certainly those are fine attributes to have, but you want to be aware of those things so that you can try extra hard to be sure that parents understand that although your natural tendency is to be shy, you want to reach out to them and help them to feel welcome and invited to be a part of your classroom. The second question calls you to think of administrative support, which would lay that good foundation. For those of you who want to work with school agers, obviously having a really great PTSO, having a principal who supports parent involvement and who makes lots of good opportunities for parents to be involved is very crucial to the success of parent and family involvement. If you're talking in the child care setting or in a family home setting, certainly you want to think about the atmosphere itself, how inviting it is, how much emphasis you've placed on having parent-teacher communication, parent-teacher bulletin boards. Even though you may not have a PTSO or PTA per se, you may want to have a family board who helps with giving suggestions and running some of those parent and teacher and family communication sources. You also want to think about factors in the environment that would be supportive of teachers and families working together. These could be everything from the current economy. We know that the economy as it is right now certainly makes it harder for families to be involved, in that many families need more income, and with more income that comes more hours at work. And so that's obviously going to just cut down on your time that you can spend being involved with your children at school. So think about those other factors as well. Now let's start off by thinking about some teacher ideas and attitudes. Certainly we want to use that concept of professionalism, that idea of reciprocity and partnership with parents. These are our children. We're working together to help them learn and to grow as people. And certainly you want to invite parents and loved ones to be a part of that process and to help you with that. It is helpful to have a sense of self and understanding who you are and your own attitudes and your own ideas about parents, and having a certain sense of humility and approachability. If you're the kind that is unapproachable, then you want to think about how can I become more approachable. Hopefully that's not you, but if it is, certainly taking a realistic look at who you are as a person and how you can better become more approachable. Sometimes that's just a matter of the words that we use, less teacher talk, less high jargon that parents don't understand, and instead of talking about DAP and IEP and all these other words that we know that most teachers speak in, thinking about using everyday language and being more approachable as a person, sometimes in just your behaviors, is what we're talking about here. Obviously, it helps to have a sense of compassion, remembering that children are going through lots of different things in their lives, and they certainly need to know that you're respectful and that you're respectful of their families and of their family situations. Their families may be nothing like yours, and you can still show a sense of respect and gratitude towards families for the roles that they do play. Certainly, parents and loved ones would hope that you are also trustworthy, that the information they're sharing with you stops with you. They're telling you information and sharing information about their children and about their family and want to volunteer with you because you're trustworthy and they know that you're a confidant in regards to how you help their child. Sorry about the bells in the background, y'all. Here we go. So think about it. Describe a teacher who would invite partnership, and what would some of the attitudes or behaviors look like, and have you met a teacher like this? Certainly I've had many years of experience working with children, 20, 25 years, and that means that I've come across a lot of adults. Some teachers welcome parent involvement, and they welcome people to come with you to help in your classroom, and others are a little bit more timid about that. Perhaps they don't want people sitting in on their classroom or seeing the day-to-day stuff. Perhaps they're afraid, what if I'm not perfect or I make a mistake? I'm going to speak to this to two sides. The first side is as a parent. I was the kind of parent, especially when my children were small, that I loved to volunteer, and I love to spend time in the classroom with both my daughter and my son in the preschool age group and younger, toddler age group and preschool age group. I spent a considerable amount of time in the classroom just observing, just helping. I would come early at the end of the day and might spend up to an hour a day just helping in the classroom, volunteering, cleaning up stuff, doing a bulletin board, preparing for the next day. At first, I think some of the teachers were unsure about this. Why was I there? Was I watching them? What was I doing? And when they realized I was very sincere, just wanted to volunteer, wanted to help, I was very welcome. Certainly, this is still the case. I still volunteer at my children's schools, but in a little bit different way because they're now the school age level. And so certainly as a parent, the behaviors and attitudes of the other teachers, of the faculty at the schools, influences my decision to want to help. And certainly they've been very welcoming, and so I want to help. From the side of a teacher, I have worked with many volunteers. One of my most favorites that I think of was a little brother and sister. And I had first the brother in my preschool room, and then I had the sister. And they came with a mom. And because of a tragic event that happened with their first child, the child actually died at childcare, so certainly it was very tragic. She had her reasons for wanting to volunteer, and she didn't just want to volunteer an hour or two a day. She wanted to come all day long while the kids were with me. Now, certainly as a teacher at first, I wasn't sure about that. I wasn't sure, who is this woman? Why does she even want to come spend this amount of time in our classroom? She had some other reasons. It turned out, though, she was a wonderful volunteer. Gosh, I couldn't imagine what I couldn't do without her, because with her there, we could do so much more because she came. Now, this mom did end up becoming a good friend, and certainly when her kids went to kindergarten, she became a full-time volunteer at the kindergarten school, and she went all the way up, and eventually by the time they got to high school, she got a real full-time paying job at the high school. She figured out if she was going to be there anyway, she might as well make a career of this. But certainly I can think of others who've had profound effects. Maybe they just came and volunteered once a week or 5 minutes a week doing something small, and certainly my behaviors and my attitude toward that help influenced their decision and their ability to be a good part in the classroom. Now, certainly, you want to think about some external components that support those partnerships. The first one being time and skill for communication. Many teachers make good use of handbooks. Others make good use of social media. And certainly you want to be careful with social media and how you're using it, but it can be a wonderful tool. Some of the new Remind systems where parents can log in. Sorry, the light went off. Where parents can log in to get information and get text from you as a teacher as a reminder to be a part of what's going on at school. Those who are in the school age system, school age programs, things like parent portals and places where parents can volunteer through formal ways like PTSO. or as an official volunteer at the school, certainly those can be helpful ways as well. Hopefully there's some support systems, there's some policies and some kind of guidelines for how you volunteer at our school and what kind of screenings you might go through. Obviously there needs to be some personal support. Not every parent or every family member is prepared to come in and lead a story time or teach about math or help with reading, but certainly many would be willing to learn if they got the kind of personal support. You may consider schools that put principles into practice, such as like a family resource center. There are a lot of schools online. If you would go online and do some research, you'll see some about the Boxbury School. There's a website. Or other schools that have family resource centers where families can come and receive services or take part in services which would help benefit their families and their children. So think about it. What teacher attitudes described here support parent involvement? Think back to those families we talked about in Chapter 2 and how your personal attitude as a teacher could help each family become more involved. Think a little bit about the school philosophy and the practices and what kind of foundations that lays for partnerships. So as you're working on that assignment for laying out your own philosophy of how parents and families can be involved, kind of take into account how different families may be that and how may they respond to that. And then what ideas would you like to take with you into your first teaching assignment? Perhaps you've not had your own classroom yet and you want to think about, are you comfortable with a parent who wants to volunteer every day? Or are you more comfortable with a parent who wants to volunteer occasionally? Are you comfortable with grandparents who want to come in and spend time helping with activities or coming and helping at snack time or playing outside? So begin to think about your own personal comfort level here as well. So kind of in summary, you want to think about some of your specific teacher attitudes and behaviors that would facilitate development. Certainly being friendly, being outgoing, and being inviting are the most important. Certainly being welcoming to family members when they come and thanking them for the time that they spend with you goes a long way to encourage better support, better help with children. Certainly your educational administrative philosophy at your center, at your school, will lay a foundation there as well. And then lastly, think about those effective communication skills and times for communication to support those partnerships. I know many elementary schools use agendas or learning logs to help and to talk with families. I know for my own child now at a middle school age, the Remind system is extremely helpful for making that partnership. Not everyone can be on a PTSO, not everyone can volunteer every day or every week, but certainly making lots of different smaller opportunities for our parents and loved ones to be involved is really what's key. So as we kind of finish up, wrapping up this chapter, and as you begin to work on your assignments, I want you to think very carefully about how you will word your philosophy and how you will ask the questions that you want to know on the survey so that you'll get the best information. With good information, then you can plan some really great opportunities for parents to be involved. I look forward to seeing you soon. Bye.